was going to be happening. And I can't say enough about the foundation staff and all their work they've done for this, and the brunch that will be tomorrow at Buchanan, and all the staff of the Alumni Association and others for the homecoming events. And could I please have all of the foundation staff stand to be recognized? Thank you all very much. Could I have all of you that are in the audience that I didn't ask to stand to be recognized? Could you please stand to be recognized? Let's give them a round of applause. Come on, come on, come on, come on. All right. I know somebody will come up and say, I forgot somebody, so I usually do that just at the end, just to make sure. How are we doing on time over there, Joe? We're on time? Okay. Like to welcome all of you to the University of Maine Annual Luncheon for the Foundation. We're very pleased to be here today, and we want to thank those of you that are able to join us by the broadcast today also. My understanding is they have a Jeff Mills delay of 20 seconds. So if I make a mistake, I have 20 seconds to hopefully correct it before it goes out on the live broadcast. We're very, very pleased to be here today and to have so many of you. And I feel very fortunate. You'll hear the same theme over and over again from me later on in my presentation, but who would have thought that today would be such a special day that we were able to celebrate so much? A year ago, we had to be all online, and we mentioned that we were probably going to have one of the most difficult financial years in the foundation's history. And I am very pleased to say today that arguably we just had the most successful year in history. When you look at the endowment returns, when you look at the endowment growth, and when you look at the annual fundraising, thanks to everyone and their hard work and all that happened out there, we have arguably the most successful year in history, as you'll see. So, yay. Now it is my pleasure to introduce the chair of the board of the University of Maine Foundation. He just earlier this morning at the business meeting was reelected for chair of the foundation board. Many of you already know him. He is a professor emeritus of investment education at UMaine, a current member of the board of visitors, and the founder of SPIFFY, the Student Portfolio Investment Fund, established through the University of Maine Foundation in 1993 with an initial $200,000 contribution. Today, that student group manages $4.1 million in stocks, bonds, and international funds. And it was one of the first to ever allow students to actually manage real money, not just scenarios. And it was quite something, and still many people across the country call us to ask for information about starting one at their university. Bob is also the current chair of the board of Bangor Savings Bank, and he is a Triple Crown donor. Please join me in welcoming the chair of the board, Bob Strong.
Thank you, Jeff. I'll echo what others have said about it's great to see folks again instead of just on the screen. We're all eager to get back in person. I'd like to update you on a few items from this morning's business session. We have 10 new incorporator members for the University of Maine Foundation. Those are David Austin, Eric Brennan, Barb Dalton, Sarah Medina, David Mitchell, Tricia Mitchell, Tom Pelletier, Matt Rodriguez, excuse me, and Denham Ward. We are also pleased to announce a new director of the foundation board, Christopher Keating. New officers of the foundation board are Todd Saucier as vice chair, Maria Fuentes as secretary, Kurt Marston as treasurer, Joe Ferris as clerk, Jeff Mills as president and assistant treasurer, and I will continue as chair. Amos and Lola Orchid were selected as new honorary members of the foundation, but they could not be with us today, so we will induct them at a later date. It's now my privilege to introduce the president of the University of Maine, Joan Farini Monday. I think she has the longest title of anyone in the system as president of the University of Maine and the University of Maine and Machias, and vice chancellor for research and innovation for the University of Maine system. A longtime member of the faculties of land-grant institutions. Her personal research interests include calculus learning, mathematics teacher knowledge, and K through 12 STEM education policy. She serves on many national and regional boards, including the Bangor Region Chamber of Commerce. She is the visionary co-PI of the $240 million challenge grant from the Harold Alfond Foundation. She has Maine roots, with her father being a graduate of Maine Maritime Academy. She and her husband, Rick, are members of the University of Maine President's Club and the Stillwater Society Giving Societies. Please join me in welcoming Jean Farini Monday.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's fabulous to be here, isn't it? All together in one place, getting to say hello and actually see how people have done through this very difficult many months now that we've all experienced. So I welcome you back to your university. I think we have, we can go to the next slide. Very important weekend for us here at the University of Maine. Welcome to UMaine Homecoming. Special thanks to the University of Maine Foundation and the University of Maine Alumni Association and everybody who has been a part of making this, this event today, plus our entire weekend possible. So thank you to all. And thanks to those who are watching from afar. I'll just do a couple of quick updates for you to let you know that your campus is thriving. We are doing very, very well here, and that's thanks to our incredible students, our incredibly resilient and committed students. So they moved in, we had Maine Day. I mean, we had Maine Hello. We will have Maine Day too, that's later on. But what I wanted to share is the sense of vibrancy on the campus. And if you have a chance to get out and about and talk to students, talk to faculty and staff, you will feel that vibrancy because people are happy to be back. They are delighted to be able to enjoy the campus, to see one another, to be in class, and to be able to pursue their education in this wonderful place. So much of what was here and in place and such an important set of traditions before the pandemic is back, and we're doing this in our more standard ways. The class of 2025 is here, and we can go to the next slide, thanks. They very wonderfully arrived and spent time with us at the very beginning of the semester, and were arranged, as so many of the classes before them, in the Alfond to be able to get a photo. So we go to the next slide. Many new members of the community, and this is only a partial list, but some of these folks are here and they've been briefly introduced. We have 4 new academic deans, which is a very large number to have at once, and we're delighted to have them. Special congratulations to the provost and the academic affairs groups for being able to bring such wonderful colleagues to us. So Penny Bishop is over here. I think I saw Diane Rowland from NSFA, Norma O'Reilly with the Graduate School of Business, and Ellen Weinauer with the Honors College. In addition, Pips Veazey has joined us. Some of you have met her. She's based in Portland and is part of the University of Maine's Portland efforts, particularly through the Portland Gateway. New Chief of Staff in my office arriving on Monday, Meredith Whitfield from Western Carolina University. Softball coach Jordan Fitzpatrick, men's hockey coach Ben Barr, and a new senior director of marketing and communications, Dan Demerit, and many more across the entire university. But the community remains vibrant and dynamic, and our new colleagues are already making a difference. Next slide, please. The numbers are good, and I won't go all through these other than to say research numbers, yet again, a new record in fiscal 21. Across the board. Our fall residence halls are full and back to what feels like pre-pandemic style. Our fall enrollments are solid and strong, particularly at the graduate level. That's not the case with universities everywhere, so we're very fortunate. Lots of teams working very diligently to ensure that we have an incoming class and that we have retention and that our students are able to be successful here. Next slide, please. If you're getting around the campus much this weekend, you'll see some new things. Beryl Warner Williams Hall, formerly CC Little Hall, has been renamed. The new signage is outside the building and also on the building itself, and the lobby is being renovated. We're very delighted to honor alumna Beryl Warner Williams from the class of 1935. New football turf and much more to come in athletics. It's terrific. The Furland Engineering Education and Design Center is going up. Even this picture is now dated. We need a more current one. It's changing every day. We have processes in place to look at what a revitalization of Holmes and Coburn Hall would be like through a public-private partnership to form a boutique hotel that would bring new energy to the campus. And of course, the spectacular renovation and very generous contributions that have made that possible in the Zillman Art Museum and more. So it's a campus that is moving, that has so much wonderful activity happening. We can go to the next slide. Of course, COVID is there with us. I heard someone recently, the governor, I believe, said we were moving from a pandemic to an endemic situation. It's with us. It's a part of how we now function and how we work together and come together. Campus is responding, as we have all along, by using science as our basis. Testing is continuing and is available. We watch the numbers in our state of Maine. We have this testing support regularly, as well as vaccination clinics and more. We've worked to stay ahead of it. You've seen, and I'm sure are well aware of the lead that athletics and our performing arts areas have taken with expectation of vaccination or proof of test for basketball and hockey for our indoor athletic events going forward. Our nursing students have worked all across the state to help support the public health emergency. We have a testing vehicle on the campus that you'll see if you go over by the football stadium. That's where all of the test samples for the entire UMaine system are being analyzed daily. And we have wastewater testing. So all is going very, very well. We've managed to keep the numbers of cases quite low because of these efforts and because of our fantastic students, faculty, and staff. So much to talk about that I will just kind of rush through, but this is enough of a big deal that I really wanted to be sure to mention it to you. So with the funding from the Alfond Foundation, one of the many efforts aimed at student success is what we've called research learning experiences. And I need to credit the provost, his team, the deans, the faculty for moving through this very quickly. Put it together in a very short time, actually. It included a summer bridge experience and then a number of options for students, 31 sections of courses available for first year and some second year students to connect them right away into the university's research enterprise. And the courses span the arts, engineering, business, the humanities, the social and biophysical sciences. So as first year students, they get a 1-credit experience supported by the Alfond Foundation dollars to try to engage them in our wonderful university. And we're watching it closely, hoping to expand it more fully outside of UMaine. Other parts of the Alfond work, of course, include the formation of the Maine College of Engineering, Computing, and Information Science. Dean Humphrey is leading that effort with a number of wonderful team members from across the entire system, including University of Southern Maine. A piece of that work will be the continued growth and renovation of our engineering district and computing at the same time. So that is continuing to cook along, and I know many in this room have been advising and helping Dana and those teams with their work, so thank you for that. I mentioned the Portland Gateway. Next one, please. Thanks. And a lot going on in Portland for the entire University of Maine system. UMaine, as I mentioned, has hired a director of something we're calling the UMaine Portland Gateway, meant to be a site for connecting businesses based in Southern Maine and others in Southern Maine interested in knowing more about what the University of Maine does. And that's very tightly connected to other activity. You've seen perhaps that the UMaine Law School is moving into 300 4th Street, which the system has leased for the near term, so that the law school will have a great facility. And at the same time, the Maine Center for Graduate and Professional Studies will be there. The UMaine Gateway will be there, as well as a number of other organizations. So we're in Portland, and pretty soon we'll actually be able to host some events there in this building that the system is leasing. At the same time, Habib Dagger, so well known to so many of you, what an incredible star he is for our university. His lab has now expanded to Portland, and he has folks and teams in 167 4th Street working remotely on aspects of the ASCC work that can be done away from the lab. I will just mention among my many titles that you just heard is the fact that the president of the University of Maine is also the president of the University of Maine at Machias. UMaine Machias is a significant partner for this university and has been for many years. And in the past several months, we've been actually concentrating more directly on what that means. And so I established a regional task force, regional campus task force. Dean Haddad, Emily Haddad, whom I saw coming in, chairs this group so ably. And what we're trying to do is really give definition to what it means to be a regional campus, how the University of Maine at Machias can benefit from what the University of Maine has to offer and expand what we're already doing there, and at the same time, how the University of Maine can have some stronger connections to this wonderful coastal campus in such a beautiful region of the state. So that is going on at the same time as we work with a new logo and brand standard for UMaine Machias. We're going to be certain to honor the Clipper legacy and past graduates who are so committed to that legacy from UMaine Machias. That's just a quick tour. It is exciting here. It feels positive here. And seeing all of you here together, knowing of your support and your great loyalty to our university, I'm very grateful. So thank you for coming and very much enjoy your weekend. Thanks.
All right, thank you, Joan. Robert Dana, is Robert still here? Yes. I also wanted to point out two other points. If you can imagine, with trying to deal with being the Dean of Students, Vice President for Student Affairs on a regular basis, it's hard enough probably. But if you are dealing with it during COVID also, it's a job that many of us are fortunate that we still worry about things on the weekend, but we don't usually get called on the weekend or very late at night or any of those things. But then add on top of that COVID. So the president from the very beginning with COVID had a starting meeting at 8 o'clock in the morning. This was almost 18, 20 months ago, every day, including the weekends. And then, of course, Robert Dana's area had to deal with it and then trying to get open for the fall. So I want to recognize both of them and thank them for what they have been able to pull off with everything that's happened here. So thank you, Robert, and thank you, Sean. All right. All set with mine. Okay, so we're going to go a little bit of an update on the UMaine Foundation and also our advancement partners for fundraising and other items for the year. Go to the next. Hopefully it goes to the next one. There we are. Obviously, we're very pleased to have you with us today, and those of you that are joining us again with the broadcast, go to the next one. So why are we here today? I always like to mention why you're invited, why you're here. First off, we want to thank you for your philanthropy and all that you do to help us with that and for what you do for lasting legacies and beyond with our day-to-day operations here at the university. Also to better inform you about the work of the foundation, which we will be talking about here now, and to ask you to help be ambassadors about the University of Maine and the University of Maine Foundation as we continue to move forward into the next year. Next. Why an independent foundation? We are one of the oldest private foundations in the country. There's 7 of us that are the original 7. We disagree on who's older or not. So, but I always like to mention we are one of the 7. What are the reasons for it? More nimble. There are times, even when we were looking at the possibility of maybe doing the loan with the building and for a mortgage or to do a lease in Portland. At one point, they thought maybe they would do it to the foundation because they might have to move quickly. So sometimes when you have those types of things, when we originally moved the Portland office, opened it many years ago, the foundation was the one who signed the lease on that to be able to move quickly and to be able to get the space while it was available. The other is we're being asked to do more and more political activity, particularly with bond issues that are being passed to raise the money for them, along with the Alumni Association to manage the campaigns. Many of you know the very hotly contested bear baiting item that was on the ballot a few years ago is black bears. I'm sure you were all very aware of that. one of the groups ended up suing some of the state people that were in those ads, saying that they were receiving public funds and they could not be in those ads. So you're seeing more and more times where they want to make sure that you are being independent of state money to be able to do political activity. So we continue to do that, and we'll continue to do that as we go into the next campaign with being able to have more bonding done for the University of Maine. Also, anonymous giving. We have many donors who like to give anonymously for different reasons. And so we are able to keep those private and continue to do that as we move forward. When we were up here for the last time when we did it, we weren't actually here in person. We broadcast last year. Our FY20 fundraising was an increase, and we had gone up to almost $26 million overall for the year for annual gifts to the different advancement partners, and most of it through the foundation. And this year, over $33 million. Increase of over $7 million. Again, who would have thought that was going to happen this past year, but we're really excited about all that's happened with that. Next. All-time high return from our managers and working with the investment committee for our investments. Who would have thought that? It's an amazing thing that's happened out there. And I know many of you were at the morning meeting when we talked about that, but exciting times with that also. Next. Endowment growth. So if you look at the overall endowment, this is for the University of Maine campus, Orono. If you look at all the different areas that we have for endowment here at the University of Maine, we went in 1 year's time from 342 million to now 444 million, increase of over $100 million in 1 year's time. So yeah. Next. So what makes up the endowment? The University of Maine Foundation makes up the lion's share of the endowment, but then we have our advancement partners. We have some money that is held for the Orono campus at the system. That's approximately 103 million. We have the University of Maine Pulp and Paper Foundation, the largest pulp and paper foundation in the country. They hold approximately 31 million. And then we have the UMaine 4-H Foundation, which has close to 4 million, to give us the total of over 444 million, almost 445 million. Next. Just to let you know on that, as you would anticipate with private universities having started many years before others with foundations and others in the state of Maine, Bowdoin is first for overall endowment. Colby is second. Most people expect me to say something else third, but it's the University of Maine is third, followed by Bates. And then you have to drop down over $250 million before you get to the next university in the state of Maine, which would be UNE. And then after that is USM. So gives you an idea of just where we stand. We're very fortunate to have started a private foundation so early because of compounding interest and everything else that happens, so that we are able to be at that level. Areas of endowment support, you can see basically almost 64% still is mostly designated for scholarships, and the other goes to approximately a third goes to all other areas that you can basically think of across the entire university. We started really pushing the 3 major giving societies. I know you all know them, and most of you are Triple Crown members, but just in case you don't know, we have the Charles F. Allen Legacy Society. That's for people who do planned gifts. Usually it's a will, but not always. We have 2 attorneys in our office that work with people, and then all the other gift officers work with them for planned gifts. And FY13, when we started tracking these again to really market these, we've had a 37% increase since then in that group, which takes longer usually because you have to do a lot of paperwork. Next. Stillwater Society, that's for people who have lifetime. We track all lifetime giving of donors. When you get up to $25,000 or more, you get the gold pin, which is there with the jewel, and we have the great plastic jewels that are in there. They go up to 4, and then when you get up to Catardin level, which is for $1 million or more, you have the pin that Tom is wearing right over here with the 5 on it. So that's the Stillwater Society, and we've had a 46% increase in members since then. Next, President's Club. President's Club, we started marketing really hard, is for those that give $1,000 a year to the University of Maine, they get the very nice blue, UMaine blue pin with the blue jewel. And that President's Club brunch is tomorrow. For those of you that are able to be here, we've had a 61% increase since FY13 in the President's Club. And then if you want to wear all that bling, you can, but if you don't, if you want the one pin, you can get the Triple Crown pin, and we've had a 75% increase in that. We just started marketing that pin a few years ago. It's a very popular pin. And I know you all want that bling, so aim for the Triple Crown one. There you go. Next, we had, here's a picture of the Zillmans with our director, George, at the opening of the Zillman, and also our provost, John Vollen. And we were so pleased with their gift, and to allow us to basically double the space for being able to show the art that we have down in Bangor, and to keep that partnership going with Bangor. We've got a little bit left on that campaign, but we've pretty much finished that campaign, and very pleased. Paige Holmes over here is helping us with working toward that. We're just about done with that campaign. The president mentioned is the Maine Center, which is located in Portland. It's really new for the system. It's the idea of taking the business school MBA. They combined the USM MBA into just a UMaine MBA now. So if you take the MBA through the University of Maine system, whether it's online, through another campus in Portland or in Orono, it's a Black Bear degree now. We have seen tremendous growth. That program has gone over the last couple of years from 87 students to over 450 students. So in the MBA programs. Then also that is a combination with the law school and also with the USM Muskie School. So they are doing interdiscipline degrees that you can get through that. And it's been very successful. And as you saw, the new building that will be at 4th Street that the university system has a lease on with an option to buy. So we're all very excited about all of that happening and continuing to see. As I always like to say, we are the University of Maine. We're not just the University of Maine at Orono. We are throughout the state, and our programming should be seen throughout the state and beyond. So the chancellor asked, after we finished our record-breaking $208 million campaign, a little over a year ago, they asked us if we would take over. Alphonse gave a $7.5 million first phase to help with that main center. They asked us to match that with fundraising and asked us to be the heads of that with working with USM Foundation and the Law School Foundation. And so we are now over $5 million toward that 7.5 campaign. And I know several of you have helped us with that, and we appreciate that very much. So the other big news that the president was just talking about, we got one of the top 10 ever public grants from the Harold Alfond Foundation ever in the country. So they are giving $240 million to the University of Maine, and we have to match that with $170 million. The presentation for that was with the chancellor of the system, Dan Malloy, President Joan Perini Monday, and with Ken Ralph, the director of athletics. So incredible grant that we have been given that we will be working on as we move into the next campaign. That is made up of, as the president was saying, the Maine College of Engineering, Computing, and Information Science, the University of Maine Athletics, Student Success and Retention, and the UMaine Graduate and Professional Center. We have 4 subgroups that are working to come up with those plans so that we will be able to tell you what will be matched of that 170 million that we have to raise to match to get that entire 240 million. So those subcommittees are working now to get those out, and then they'll be approved through the process, through the presidents in the system, and then we will be able to go to you to be able to explain what will be counted. In the meantime, anything that's coming into us that we think will be counted, we're putting that kind of aside to be able to present to match. So if you're giving in those areas and sit down and work with us, we can probably tell you what will count toward that match. And we think we have somewhere around 20 million that we've already got that will be able to be matched, but we're not sure yet, but that's what we're hoping for. So continue to stay tuned on that. It's really exciting to think that we have that type. Usually when you get done with a major campaign, you're wondering how you're going to top that last campaign. And to know that we already have that grant is really an incredible thing. So could we have a round of applause for the Harold Alfond Foundation? So these give the numbers by those different subgroups. The engineering, computing, and information science, 150 million. We have to do a $75 million match with that. Next. And then when we have the athletics piece, they are getting 110 million total, 90 million from the Alphonse, 20 million that we have to match. Next. The student success and retention piece is going to be 20 million from them, and we have to match with 25 million. And the graduate and professional center that I just talked about, that's located in Portland with those different groups. There's a 55 million investment and challenge to raise an additional 50 million that will be moving forward with that. So first off, we have to finish that 7.5 million, in case I didn't mention that. We still have 2.5 to go on that. But once we get done with that, we can move into all of the other for the main center. So we appreciate it. We'll continue to talk with you. See your local foundation fundraiser, favorite people that we have out there. If you're interested in helping with any of that, we would appreciate it. Okay, so many of you know, a few years ago, the university under Sue Hunter, did a Blue Ribbon Commission group. They asked the foundation to take over the services of the University Development Office and to merge to make it easier for us to work with donors and talk to them holistically about their giving. We did the analysis of the prior 5 years when the Development Office was the overall point people for the fundraising, with working with all the advancement partners. They were averaging around 20 million per year. And since the merger, we are now, our average for the past 5 years has been over 28 million. So it's been an increase of over $8 million or 41% per year average. So really exciting news, and thanks to all who have helped us to be able to do that. Thanks. Alexander Haas was the counselor that was hired originally by President Ferguson for the last campaign. And then Sue Hunter asked them to be involved with us with the merger items. We asked, our board asked for them to come in and do an independent review as we finished up the last campaign. And I love their conclusion quote, which was, Foundation of the University of Maine has, as we indicated, done a very fine job of securing philanthropic support over the years. Its progress in the past few years has been remarkable. So great news from all of that. I also wanted to mention, as we continue to move forward with the different funds that we have and all of the items, just in case anybody does not know, the way we are working, we're looking at changing our fiscal year. We just voted this morning to a calendar year. Ralph Leonard, where are you? Ralph's over here. Ralph has been after me for years to try to have our honor roll be on a calendar year to make it simpler for donors to know rather than a fiscal year. So we're hoping to move that also. So we'll continue to work with that. And every fund that is started at the UMaine Foundation is signed off by the president's office and also the systems office, so that we make sure we're all coordinating with all of that. As all of you, I hope, know, we're also audited every year. We share our audited financials with the system, which is also audited. to be able to make sure that your funds are being audited. Also, our stewardship committee does approximately 10% of our funds every year that we worked with the university and other departments to make sure that the money that you have given is going where it's supposed to be going, and making sure that it's being audited to protect those dollars as we continue to move forward with all of that. Also, our website has our audited audit online. So you can go on there anytime to be able to see the audit, and also quarterly, our investment performance is up there online also, so that you have the opportunity to see all of that. We continue to be very excited about what the future is. I was very concerned, as I said before, about what this year would bring, but we are so excited and want to thank all of you for what you've been able to do. And if we could give a hand and support of applause for everybody's great year. One other point I wanted to make, because sometimes people ask if you had $8 million extra this year, wow, does that mean the foundation's got $8 million more that they can just give to whomever they want? Over 99% of the funds that come in from you as donors are designated for where you want them to go. That's what happens today. First off, because you have very sophisticated donors, they want to make sure that they know where the money is going, and so they ask that it go to a particular area. The other is because there's more pressure on all the different areas of the university to fundraise. So everything from athletics to academics to performing arts, all of the different areas and museums, they all are working to raise money every year, just part of the world that we have today. So they're all out there with their priorities that we're working with them on through the university to be able to go to the donors with. Doesn't mean that we don't want unrestricted money. We'd love to have it, but that is, especially at most public institutions. We just did an analysis recently on the other New England land grants. They're all over 99% of their gifts that come in are designated. And it's a good thing because we're making sure that the priorities are being looked at and everything else, but we appreciate unrestricted money if anybody wants to give it also. But I just want to make sure that people don't think we suddenly have $8 million that's out there that we can just go anywhere we want. Those are already designated for those particular areas to make sure that you have the money going to where you want it to go. Now, speaking of all of that, we are very excited that we have a gift that we are going to announce today. And to do that, we have the Director of Athletics that will do that, Ken Ralph. Ken.
Thanks, Jeff. I'm kind of confused. I've got your notes in front of me now. Welcome to homecoming, everybody. It's great to see some familiar faces, some folks I haven't seen in quite a while, other than maybe on a little Zoom screen. So it feels nice to be back together, and appreciate everybody coming back to Maine and enjoying our festivities. Just a little bit ago, Jim Settley had dropped by the table to say hello, and he looked around and he said, wow, this is the table with all the cool kids. And I said, well, this is novel. I never get to sit with the cool kids. And I looked and realized I've got Paul and Tom, and I've got Rod and Jim here. And he was right. This is the cool kid table, because we've got some folks here who've been just unbelievable supporters of the University of Maine, who've been selfless with their time and with their resources, and have just been incredibly great friends to me personally and to others in the athletic department. And it's wonderful that they're here to share this moment, because we're about to make an announcement that we have an alum who's about to get a lot more pins. In fact, I think he's getting all the pins now that I think about it. So to give a little bit of backstory here, as we alluded to earlier here, the University of Maine Athletic Department is undergoing a $110 million capital improvement campaign. And it's going to result in facilities that will support all 17 of our varsity sports, some with new facilities, others with renovated facilities, but they're facilities that will put us in the upper echelon of our peer groups, which is something we've long wanted to do. It'll also improve our ability to host our club and intramural sport programs, recreational sport programs, and allow us to better connect with the local community, especially with youth sports and high school sports. We really want to get to the point where high school championship events are coming right to Orono because we have the perfect venues to host them. And then not only do we get to host those athletic events, but all of those potential future UMaine students are here in Orono and are ready to tour our campus. So we're looking at this as a wide-ranging initiative to be able to benefit a lot of different constituents here on our campus. So as part of this, Seth Woodcock, who's our Associate Athletic Director and who is the brains behind the fundraising for us, he and I kind of sat down and we talked about, we've got this big match we have to hit with the Alphon Foundation, and who do we need to be talking about? And so we go down the list of names and we kind of throw some things around and you know, who's got some interest in this area? Who should we be talking to? And he said to me at one point, he goes, you know, we got to talk to Rod Sparrow. And I said, absolutely. Who's Rod Sparrow? And he said, no, he goes, you and Rod are going to get along. You're going to get along great. He is a really outgoing guy. He loves the University of Maine. He's a class of 1971, and he played football here under legendary football coach Walter Abbott. So I think a lot of you in the room know Walt Abbott, and I'm sure there's lots of Walt Abbott stories ready to go around in terms of how he competes on a racquetball court or some other Walt stories that we probably shouldn't share in public. But Walt really had a great way of building camaraderie within a team, and the team members that played for him over the years absolutely love him. And so, you know, Seth was going, you know, Walt Abbott, you know, there's a good connection there with Rod. He said, you know, the other thing is Rod has been a donor since 1982. So for almost 40 years, Rod has been providing gifts to the University of Maine, mostly in support of operations. And so he said, oh, great, let's do a little bit more research. I said, what does Rod do? And Seth goes, he makes buckets. And I said, okay, he makes buckets. What? I don't understand. He goes, no, he goes, you know, the orange 5-gallon Home Depot paint buckets. That's what Rod makes. And you think about it, somebody's got to make those buckets. So Rod is president and CEO of Leak Tight. And so any of you that have those orange Home Depot 5-gallon buckets, I counted them the other day, I got 3 at the house. So indirectly, I'm also contributing to this program. But we said, yeah, let's try to get a meeting. And so Seth and I were able to get in touch with Rod, and they've built a really nice relationship over the years. And Rod invited us down to Cape Cod to go ahead and meet him. And beautiful spot down in Chatham, and walked in, got a chance to meet him at his house. He's going to take us out to dinner. And one of the things that people learn when they see Seth and I walking through the door is they learn to put both hands on their wallet because they know something's coming. And so we go walking in, and Rod kind of, we do the pleasantries. We get introduced to some of his family, and he pulls us out onto the patio in front of his house. And he goes, look, he goes, I'm going to give it to you guys straight. He goes, because we're going to go to dinner, and I want to be able to relax and enjoy dinner. I don't want you guys upselling me. He goes, so I'm giving it to you straight now. I'm giving you $1 million to go to your project. So back then we didn't have to wear masks, so you could actually see how big my smile was at that time. So actually, I guess we did. We were just at his house, so we weren't wearing them. So it was a pretty big smile. I mean, it was just a really special moment because this is a true son of the University of Maine who came up shaped by the University of Maine, was shaped by a coach here at the University of Maine, who went out in the world and did amazing things, who's been active in philanthropy since his retirement and in supporting his family, and just wanted to give back. And it checks all the boxes that just really mean something to every single one of us in this room. And even in a very short meeting and a delightful dinner, we formed a very, very strong bond. And it was incredibly meaningful that Rod feels this strongly about the University of Maine that he'd want to make a gift to the UMS Transforms element of the athletics portion of this. So it is my distinct pleasure to introduce to you Mr. Rod Sparrow.
I hate this mask, but bear with me. It's really a pleasure to be here. I've never attended one of these functions, and to see so many people that want the same thing that I want. It's great. You know, I just retired the first of the year and sold my company at the same time. So I've gone through quite a bit in a short period of time. What I'm going to do with my spare time, I'm not really sure, but hopefully it involves the University of Maine. Scholastically, I got a great basic education on business administration. Marketing and sales was really what I always wanted to do. I got into this by accident, this bucket market that, you know, is crazy, but it started with 3 tin pails that your grandfather probably used to paint your houses with. A janitorial supply company down in Boston. What happened to be, the head of it happened to be playing golf with my dad back in 1965. And he said, gee, who do you sell? And he said, I sell Sherwin-Williams on a national basis, Pittsburgh Plate Glass, Glidden Durkee, everybody that you knew of when you were younger that sold paint. And this cash flow was really what he was after. He had a sheet metal fabrication company, and the front end of it was, when it was blueprints and everything else that you read, it was precision. It wasn't, that's what I'm trying to say. It wasn't a general use of buckets. But this was the cash flow that he always thought that would make him successful. And so he bought it for $70,000. And we brought it over to Watertown, Massachusetts. Where else would you make leak-tight buckets? And for many years after I got out of school, it was always almost a given that my brother and myself would go into the business and find our way through the years. Unfortunately, we both needed money to grow, and my end of the business was at an end. The tin buckets really weren't as important anymore. They were expensive to make. So what did we do? We went to the movies. We went to see Dustin Hoffman in The Graduate, and somebody in business leaned over when they asked what Dustin could do in the future, and he said, plastics. Plastics is where it's at. And I couldn't agree more, you know. That's what we became, is injection molders in Leominster, Mass. And it was just phenomenal. And what my point to all of this is that without my education at UMaine, it would have been very difficult for me to compete, because I didn't really know what I was doing. But I soon found out, and because it was like a very basic level, I got to grow with the injection molding. I learned how to injection mold with 2 other people. And that's what we started the company with when I took it over and bought it from my father and brother. We also had I had the affiliation with UMaine Athletics. You know, Walter, you know, he was a taskmaster, but he was a true Mainer. And I respected that. And he always told it like it was, you know. And we had many heart-to-heart conversations along the way. But I owe him a lot. And I got to play college football with my best friend, Jim Hayes, who's with me today. And we've been friends for over 60 years. His father was my little league coach, and Jim was the bat boy. And so we've got a lot of history. Jim came up as athlete of the year in Massachusetts, played fullback and kicked after field goals, and he was a year behind me. We were best of friends. We still are. Our families crisscrossed. And I think the biggest thing, the one thing that kind of sums it up on the relationship was we had a child picture with my two girls and his two boys, and they were all in different colored onesies when they were younger. It wasn't just yesterday. And that gives you an idea. We were very close. But having said all that, we turned around 50 years later, and we just sold to an Irish company in Dublin, Ireland, and we got over $100 million for the business, which, you know, let's face it, is I used to be asked, is that all you make? And I said, yeah, that's all I've had to make. The buckets have been phenomenal. And the key to the whole thing is I'm not promoting Leak Tight's name. When I sell the buckets to Home Depot, I'm promoting Home Depot. So they in turn, it becomes the number one seller in their paint department and probably in their whole store. The success has been tremendous. And so I really am surprised at that. And I wanted to come up today just to tell you that we need people like you. You people are the main, most of you are from Maine. How many from out of state? Okay, we got a few that made the trip up the Maine Turnpike. And that doesn't get any shorter as the years go by, but maybe get a helicopter or something. I don't know. But I wanna recognize Seth Woodcock and Ken when they came down and we talked. I already had my mind made up what I wanted to do, and it really was true. I wanted to relax at dinner because I felt them touching my wallet. But hopefully a sign of many more things to come in the future. And I did want to thank everybody for that. And I want to also be the example of what a private citizen can do, a private person that doesn't have the endowments or the fancy way of getting a lot of money out to the university. It's hard to ask for money. It really is. And I admire the people that do it and do it well. So at this point, I'd like to thank you very much for recognizing me. And I hope we beat the tribe tomorrow. Yeah. Thank you.
All right, yes.
Thank you very much. Very moving. Also like to say thank you for helping us to fill that bucket for athletics. We appreciate that very much, and that will go a long ways towards that. So we appreciate it very much. At this time, we have another announcement that the president would like to make. So have her come up.
Pretty hard to follow, Rod. Thank you so much. I just want to say for the first time here that, as you all know, for the classes of 2020 and 2021, the end of their college career, the end of their experience was quite disrupted. And of course, there was no in-person commencement for either of those classes. But what I wanted to announce today is that plans are underway to actually hold in-person commencements for the classes of 2020 and 2021, pandemic permitting, in May, around the time of the commencement for the current class. And we're very excited that that planning is going on. The Alumni Association will be conducting a survey of grads in those two classes at the undergraduate and graduate levels to help us get an understanding of what would be appropriate and what they would like, because of course they are alums now. So any of you who are in the room, are there any? Classes of 20 and 21, okay. Those of you watching, stay tuned, more to come. We'll be engaging you in the planning, but we're very pleased to be able to honor your incredible accomplishments here at UMaine, at least to plan to do so in the spring. So thank you.
Cheryl Coffin over here went back to school after she retired, and so she was in one of those classes. So yes. So it's yes. I always like to say, she says to me, she's my poster person, because how many times can I get up and say I have a Triple Crown person that's a student? So there you go. Yes. We have many things that are happening for homecoming. Please check the website for that. We even have a tremendous football game, President's Club brunch, all kinds of other activities that the deans and directors and others are doing for open houses. So please take the opportunity to look for those. Our last item we wanted to show was the video that's being used by enrollment management with admissions. Not only do we have a 20-second delay on the video, but we have it here live in person. So I didn't want you to feel left out. So you also have a delay. Hopefully it's coming. We'll give it one more try. Not coming? It's coming, they said. Yes. Can hear it. Go without. She's talking about the fact how difficult it is when you have to deal with the remote sound and the audience for setting these up, so. Okay, I think we're gonna go. Yes, make sure we have the audio visual. Yes, yes. All right, couple more seconds. Yes. Yes. One more announcement in case you didn't know or remember, the President's Club brunch is not being held at the President's House tomorrow. It's being held at Buchanan Alumni House. That way we can have more area to spread out. Plus we have an outdoor tent set up for you. So that when you get the opportunity to go for that, we also have a sign up at the President's House in case anybody goes there and forgets that it's being held at Buchanan Alumni House. But we want to make sure that we had the opportunity for you to be able to enjoy the grounds and everything else. This is a tremendous video of me. What more could you ask for? If you want to get students to come to the University of Maine, you put a video out there of me. Here we go. Now maybe sound. It's coming too. Yes, you gotta do the delay on it probably. Yeah, I can see the mute up there. Right. Great. All right, well, I think. Yes, we will send the link to everybody that came here today. We hope you watch it. I want to thank you all for being here today. And we wanted to make sure that you knew there was a video that you can go home and watch that is fantastic. Even when there's no sound, it's fantastic. So there you go. And thank you all for everything that you do. And we hope to see you at many of the homecoming events in the next 24 hours. Thank you all. Okay. It's great for you. Careful. All right. Yes, I think so. Is that? Come on. Hey, Ron. But then I remembered I almost archives. I don't think well, Jeff stopped around with his thing, so.
It didn't feel like it was going very long. Everybody was
Good.
yeah. We want her in here. Dan wanted to get you in some photos today.
Jack, that's what I'm trying to figure out. I want to leverage everything I can. Yeah.
An 80 now. Get those 300.